Have you found the keys to unlock your best trip? On a Trafalgar tour, you unlock more than just the world. We give you the key to let down your walls and make lifelong friends. The key to discovering hidden talents and fresh perspectives. From one-of-a-kind experiences to iconic destinations, Trafalgar gives you the keys to unlock your best self. Discover more at trafalgar.com/unlock. That's TRAFALGAR.com/unlock. Tour differently.
Everyone, my name is Jacob. Thank you for joining me. This is Hunt Detail. If you are watching the YouTube version of this podcast, you can see that my eyes look bright red. I am fighting something, maybe a cold, maybe something else. But ultimately, appreciate you joining me. You can find Hunt Detail on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram at Hunt Detail. And today we're going to be talking about the proposal in Kentucky, my home state, where I currently reside, of banning trail cams. And we're going to focus specifically on cellular cams. And that is something that they're going to look at in 2024. And I think most of you listening probably have an opinion one way or the other. And so I want to do a little bit of a counterpoint scenario with this topic, because it is very divisive or heated or controversial or something of that nature, because there's a lot of us that use cell cams or trail cams in general, and we like them as a tool for scouting and hunting, and we like the pics, and it gets us excited about hunting. And so I'm going to go through a list of points and then counterpoints, and then I might share my opinion at the end here. But so cellular trail cameras have been dropping in price for a while now. Every Black Friday, you see, like this past Friday, I think there was some Moultrie mobile cams. You got two for $100, and that's a pretty good deal. In my hand right now, I have a Reveal trail camera. I have 7 of these. These are cellular cams, and I love them. I use them. It's fun to get pictures either in the evening or when I wake up in the morning on my phone. But let's talk about it from just a broad perspective. And I'm going to jump into my list here of points and counterpoints. First of all, I hunt a lot of public land in other states, and in a lot of different states, quite honestly, and a lot of miles. I pride myself on being mobile. I pride myself on covering ground, and not only in hunting season, but also in the off season, trying to break down new areas, that sort of thing. For me, it's important to have several plans as I go into the hunt season in terms of where I want to hunt based on my work and life, family balance, and time. Whether it's close to home or if it's a little bit further, or the weather has dictated something, or whether I filled a couple tags and it's time to go to somewhere else to fill another tag. So as much as I've done that, I've never seen other trail cameras. I can't think of any time where I've seen another trail camera. And I don't think that is a function of me just having my head looking at the ground. Like, I am literally going through saddles and pinch points and funnels and on tops of ridges, bottoms ridge, side ridges, and I just don't see them. And even like the cheap $20, $25 Tasco cameras, I don't see trail cameras everywhere. And I don't know about you all. I mean, I know hunters that do hunt different public land areas that do see them quite a bit, but I just don't see them. And I don't actually get other hunters on my trail cameras. And I'm not saying that as a function of I must be, too far away for other people to hunt or anything like that, because I know I'm not. But I don't see them, period. And forget about cell cams. I don't see them. But, another point is that when you buy your tag, you're contributing dollars that go back into management of that property. So management of that public land, and if you think of a big piece of public land in your state, uh, those tag dollars go back to ostensibly managing wildlife, and other people don't put those dollars in. So I mean, let's say it's a big piece of public land in Illinois or Iowa or Kansas, and I'm a bird watcher or I'm a hiker. I don't really put any money in that to manage that land. At least my understanding of how this all works. But the other thing is that regardless, I have 7 cell cameras. I've It's really never resulted in a dead deer. I can't tell you how many pictures of big bucks that I just never get on. It's a function of how whitetail move. Unless I had a big farm and I lived on that farm, I don't, and it was rifle season. I just don't think that it results in a dead deer. I mean, I know that there are stories out there of people, maybe they have them over a particular area and they're all over the place, and they can see where that buck is moving and when, and they really, have got it dialed in. But for me personally, it's not been any different than me going into the woods, pulling a card and saying, "Oh, there was a buck here. It could have been 5 days ago." The cell cam pick is almost the same thing. It's not like I can, even with some of the properties that I hunt private and public, some permission properties. Like, it's not like me showing up with my bow 15 minutes later is going to translate into a dead deer unless that buck is on lockdown with a doe. And that's good luck with having that if you that's what you're waiting on. But the other, I'm going on to point 4, is if you don't like them, then don't use them. I've heard a lot of people say, well, I don't want my son growing up or my kids growing up hunting this way. I think it takes away from hunting. It's, this isn't what hunting is. And I'm like, okay, great, then don't use them. Like, don't use trail cams at all. Use a trad bow. Don't use a compound. Don't rifle hunt. Don't shotgun hunt. Those are that would be my response. And then I would also say, like, what about crossbows? Like, if cell cams are giving such a big advantage, what about crossbows? I mean, aren't they becoming, the range on those things becoming much different than a compound bow and that sort of thing? The other, I'm going to just keep buzzing through these points, is that harvest rates really haven't increased over the years, at least in terms of what I've looked at. I could be wrong. I'm sure there's scenarios where they have increased. I feel like it might be more of a function of crossbows, quite honestly, than cellular trail cams. But I don't think harvest rates have changed, and I don't think that the I don't think that it's changing in such a drastic way that, I mean, we have so many whitetail deer in certain states that there's never enough that's going to be sort of harvested or killed to change that population in a drastic way. And we have a really long hunting season here in Kentucky, and I think it's for a good reason, because we have a lot of deer, high population of deer. The other, here's a point I've heard is like, well, what about new hunters? This would be helpful for new hunters, and whatever, that may or may not be true. Number 9 and 10, or just really one point altogether, is that I love getting the pics, and hunting is supposed to be fun. Quite honestly, it's not supposed to be. I mean, some folks want to make it into the movie Platoon or something, where it's you're in Vietnam, and I may be guilty of that myself in terms of packing food and staying, packing go far back and packing deer out miles or whatever, and I've certainly done that, and I enjoy that. But it's ultimately supposed to be fun, and if somebody shoots a giant buck off the back of their porch in their underwear and with a rifle, and it's all legal, then I've got no problem with it. And as long as they're enjoying it and doing it the way they want to do it, then that's fine. I don't need someone else to impose on me what and how I should hunt. And then, the other thing is that, there are cameras everywhere. So if you're in a Costco or Walmart parking lot, you've got a camera on you. If you're at a stoplight, you got a camera on you. When you're checking out at a self-check, there's two cameras on you at a grocery store. And then, lastly, there's just not enough people to police a ban on trail cameras. There's not enough wardens. So if you ban it, there's going to still be people using it and that sort of thing. And I've heard that argument. So those are my points. These are points opposed to, the ban of cell cameras. And it really, to be honest with you, another thing is why is it being brought up? It hasn't been a problem. Why is this a problem? So here's the counterpoints. And so public land is for everyone, and that does include those that are bird watchers, that are hikers. And I think a lot of us, myself included, go out to the woods to get away from technology. We don't go there for more plastic, metal, antennas, cameras, all that stuff. We go there to get away from that stuff. And if someone does get a picture of me, whether I'm a hunter or a bird watcher or a hiker, it is an invasion a little bit of my privacy. And in terms of it's a close-up pic. It's not something that's in a Costco parking lot. It's a close-up pic. If cellular cams are banned, intro cameras, it sort of levels the playing field, because it means just because you have more money and can buy more trail cameras doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily, doesn't give you those additional percentage points of a likelihood of killing, a particular buck or whatever. And it encourages woodsmanship even more. You think about how folks hunted 100 years ago. It encourages a throwback to that time and place. And then, the other piece here is what is the future of cell cameras in terms of 10 years from now? Let's say in 2034, 2033, what will cell cameras look like? What will that technology be like? Will it be, the size of an ice cube? And will it, be, $10 for each cube and unlimited pics or something like that? If you look at the way cell cameras, cell phones have evolved from where they were in 2020 to now, they're significantly different. And I was in that space I worked in that space for a long time, and it is significantly different. I was part of bringing cell phones to the marketplace back in 2020 and 1999 or 2000. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up dates. And so they're markedly different in terms of their capabilities. So what will the cell cam look like 10 years from now? And will I be eating some of the words that I said earlier? This is not a function of banning cell cameras. I believe is not a function of anti-hunters. I think this is a function of self-management. And if you look at the history of hunting here in the U.S., there's been a lot of self-management that's taken place that was a very positive thing. And so I don't think that this is divisive in the way that someone's trying to introduce wolves or someone's trying to stop hunting with dogs or whatever it may be. It's not an anti-hunter movement, at least in my opinion. I think banning trail cameras and cell cameras gives local hunters that put their boots on the ground advantage. I live in Pennsylvania, I live near a big swath of public land, or maybe not Pennsylvania, because most people aren't going to go there from out of state. But let's just pick another state. Let's say Kansas. Well, not Kansas, but let's pick Iowa. If I got drawn for Iowa, I'm not able to use trail cameras. It puts those local hunters at an advantage because they're there in the moment. They see what's happening as they drive the roads. They see the chasing. They're in the woods, and it gives the local hunters an advantage, maybe even just a small percentage point advantage over the out of state hunters. And I trust me, I hunt a lot of out of state places. It would be difficult for me. It would make it harder for me because I'm like, oh, I can't see in real time, or even with trail cameras in general, I can't see what's going on. So, or what's available, what big bucks are there, what's the inventory look like. So those are sort of the points and counterpoints, and this is where I land, and I think again, if we look to the future. And we say, what does this look like 10 years from now? Why do I go to the outdoors? Why do I go to the woods? It is to get away from technology, get away from other people, to get some time in my own head, or in time to dissolve into the landscape. And if I'm dealing with cellular cams or trail cams as I'm on that hike or on that hunt or on that scouting trip, it does sort of impinge on that experience. And maybe it's not happening today, but if you're making me choose personally between the now, or 10 years from now with cell cams or 10 years from now without trail cams, I'm going to choose the future without trail cams, because technology is advancing at such a high rate that we can't predict what it will look like. And as a result, I'm going to go with the more conservative stance and say, you know what, I'll take a world without trail cameras because I enjoy the outdoors so much. And I don't want technology impinging on it. And I know it kills me to say that, because I don't get the pictures. I love cell cam pictures. I love trail cam pictures. I think it's a great scouting school. There are bucks that I would never see with my eye that are out there that I may never kill, but they get me. Those pictures get me out there. And it's almost like pictures of Bigfoot. It's like, oh, wow, Bigfoot lives here. This is motivation to get my hiney out of bed and get out there, at 4:30 in the morning or whatever it is. So, but that's sort of where I've landed, is a future without trail cameras. I know that that's not popular, and quite honestly, that's my opinion has changed. It wasn't that way initially. A year ago, it was different. And I was arguing with people online about why there's nothing wrong with trail cameras, and why are we, I literally was arguing with people online about it. I was on the complete other side. But when it comes to my own backyard and my own state and having to make a choice, that's sort of where I've landed. So thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe. Please be safe. Enjoy the rest of your season. Best of luck, and talk to you next week.